Hey guys, Gary Bernier, Wizard of Digital at the Business Growth Guys, a Wizard of Ads partner. And today I'm going to share with you a tool that we use in our practice called Hotjar. Hotjar allows us to do screen recordings of the website so we can actually see how people are using websites, how they're using the navigation and moving through with the recording feature. And we also use their heat map feature. So I'm going to give you a little tour of Hotjar as it relates to our Empire Builders website and share a couple of the insights that we found using this tool. So this is inside Hotjar. The drop down allows me to pick the site that I'm working on. So out of my customer sites or personal sites, I've picked the Empire Builder podcast, and there's a dashboard page that shows you some analytics and what's going on. And then you've got a highlights and a trends, but let's focus on recordings because this usually blows people's minds when they see the recordings. We'll do that. They spent, this one spent a little bit more on time on the page. So the wide bars are somebody scrolling, and then there's time in between, so you can actually watch somebody read the website. So one of the myths in the world is that people don't read on their cell phones. And here's an example of a person on their cell phone reading the transcript of our podcast. When we first put the podcast out to the world, we were quite surprised to find out that people were reading the transcript instead of listening to it on their podcast app or listening to it by pushing play on the web page. So we get a lot of our advertising, our Facebook advertising for various episodes drives people over here from Facebook, and they read the transcript, which we found very interesting. So we've done a number of things to try and hook the person to keep them on the site and keep coming back, but that's one of the big things we learned from using the recordings. So number of actions is the number of steps they've taken, the number of pages they've looked at. So you see it's a small number of pages in a lot of cases when they're looking at just the transcripts. So let's pop over to the heat maps for a second. Now, one of the things that Hotjar has changed recently, and they're continually updating their software, is they will generate you a heat map by page. So I'm just going to go for the home page for an example to show you how this one works. And so it starts out with the desktop feature, and you can see that people are clicking on home, and then they're also clicking on the podcast, but they're not clicking on much else on the page. If we click the tablet view, no tablets. If we click the mobile, it's not unusual to find that the hamburger is your most clicked element. But what's really handy for mobile is, instead of looking at taps, is to look at the scroll. And this will tell you how much of so everybody saw that much of the page, and then it starts to drop off. You get 77%, 75%. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the Dr. Brinkley article podcast page, and you'll see again that people are reading the page because it takes a long time. So there's the 75% mark, there's the 50% mark. They're more than halfway down the page, and then it starts to cool. And so 25% of the people are getting down to the bottom of the podcast on their mobile phone. So we found this to be quite interesting, and it means that we'll continue to publish the transcript so that people can read it when it's inconvenient to listen to the podcast, and hopefully we can hook them as a listener as a result of sharing the text with them. Anyways, there you go. That's a little bit about Hotjar and how we use it and how it can benefit you. We've used it to modify navigation to make it easier on customers on various websites, but between the recordings and the heat maps, you can actually tell what somebody's doing on your website, and you can make the appropriate adjustments. Really great for e-commerce sites. I can't imagine doing web development without it. I'm only using the free version of Hotjar, so there is a free version, and you can upgrade to a paid version, which gives you more data and some more features. But the free version is definitely helpful. I suggest you get that. So if you like this video, click like, click subscribe so you can see some more of the videos that I put out to the world. And thanks for your time watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, place them below.